Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Awakening Dawn, JE here. I appreciate you guys for stopping by the channel, bringing you another video. As the title says, this video is Saturn going retrograde, May 11th, as we have 4 planets going retrograde. Disclaimer, I am not an astrologer, so I'm not in tune with the stars, their dementias, their where they are aligned in the universe and all of that. That is not my skill, but what I wanted to do is bring on some energies as to read the cards to see why these planets and what we can do, my take on it, what we can do as to why these planets are going retrograde, especially during this global crisis. So we have a global pandemic going on, this COVID-19 coronavirus. And I did a coronavirus video back a couple weeks ago, and what I may do is link it on the videos, these videos in the description box. I may link that video in the description box for you guys. Okay. So we're trying to come out of a global pandemic. We're still in it. We're trying to come out of the belly of the beast, so to speak. Okay. We're trying to come out of the belly of the beast. So when we're trying to come out of the belly of the beast, so to speak, and then we have these planets going retrograde, which means refocusing on something in order to get back up to where we need to be in life, or redo something, restructure something, revise something, realign something we need to do and go back and fix it in order to move forward. That's the way I look at it. Okay. So I did do a video on Venus going retrograde. So that will be coming uploaded pretty soon, as well as Pluto going retrograde. That won't be loaded up sometime this week or tonight, maybe even today is April 20th, 2020. And then this video here, Saturn going retrograde, and then I will be doing Jupiter going retrograde. And I'm also going to be we'll be doing a video, maybe not today, but sometime in the week or so, or the weekend. I'll be doing a video on moving forward during this COVID-19 experience. And then I probably will be doing another one, the aftermath of COVID-19. So something of that sort. I'll be doing the aftermath and moving forward with, during this pandemic, this crisis, because it has affected so many. So in all of the planets, the videos that I've done, I've asked those that want to be a part of the JE Journaling with JE to get out your journals. Make sure you journal this reading. You can stop it, play it, listen to it, then journal it, and see how this ties to your life during this crisis, during this time, during this retrograde. How does it tie to one life? In the Venus video, I explained to them that if you know your natal chart, and you know where, if you have one of the signs in the planet Venus, so like Libra is in the planet Venus for me, so then I want to listen to Libra's video when it comes down to relationships, because the planet Venus talks about love. It's the essence of love and relationships, how we relate to one and how we want one to relate to us. So during the course of the retrograde, I want to listen to Libra's love messages for me to see how it may help me in relationships. Okay. With Pluto going retrograde, I forget where Pluto is, what part of one of the signs I have in my chart for Pluto right now, and it doesn't matter right now, but I may want to listen to that reading to see how that ties into my day-to-day during that time of retrograde, because Pluto deals with fear, it deals with death, money, secrets, talks about testing one's faith, beliefs, the organization of politics, as well as an awakening. It brought on a sense of awakening. So I definitely want to see what sign may resonate with me with Pluto, and start to chart that to help me through this this time of repairing, rebuilding, and this retrograde. And so with Saturn, May 11th goes retrograde, and it will be retrograde until September 29th, I believe. And this is the ruler of challenges of one's life, structures, boundaries, authorities, planning through difficult times, how to plan through difficult times, how befitting, right? It also talks about trying to organize, get a grip, trying to get structured. It also talks about career. So many people have lost their jobs during this pandemic. So now how do I get back into my routine? How do I get back into the workforce? How do I get back into the element of career? Your reputation. Some people, it talks about a prestige, a certain lifestyle. So some people lifestyles may have changed during this COVID-19, this coronavirus pandemic. Some people their lifestyles may have changed, career patterns have changed. So now during this time of going back to gain back what you've lost, how do you go back and get it? And then how do you go back and get it and make it better, right? So that if you've broke the bank, so to speak, you had to go through your savings, max out credit cards just to stay afloat. How do you make things better so that you're not on the bottom and you stand on the bottom, right? Right. So we were going to pull some oracles first. So the oracles that came out as I was shuffling for you is Gaia's Garden. So this talks about fruition. It talks about abundance. It talks about reaping what you sow. So for many of you, it's about now making sure that what you put into your next new normal during this retrograde, that you are protected. Okay. So some of you may have a type of insurance that if you lose a job, so to speak, I'm giving you an example, you still have money coming in, not just relying on the government, unemployment. So some of you may start looking at other avenues of income so that you still are on top. So some of you may be going back that way. The Shadow Queen talks about acquiring knowledge, insecurity, manipulation. Some of you may have felt, like I said, prestige, your lifestyle. There's something that was challenged during this time, this pandemic, this crisis. So some of you may have had to look at your darker side. Some of you, your darker side might have appeared, where you showed out because of the situation that you were put in, and some of you, you may have been manipulated through this crisis. You may have had to go through something that you felt that kind of broke you, so to speak, and made you somewhat insecure, made you somewhat vulnerable during this time. You also you are stronger than so some of you, it brought out strength. During this time, it says you're stronger than and this is where you're going to start building a stronger financial bank for yourself, okay? So that in the situation where you lose income, you still have income. Someone said to me once, it's not good if you're a business owner or you work a job just to have one source of income. You need to have rivers of money flowing in so that when we come into a crisis, a pandemic, that one source of income is not your only income. You understand? So you may start to, now Spirit is saying we're going to go retrograde. We're retrograde. Come on, Spirit, talk to me. We're going backwards for my people to get themselves together, because Saturn going retrograde, again, it talks about challenges of one's life. And a lot of people have been challenged with money, career. And career, this is in the 10th house, right? And it's ruled by Saturn, planet Saturn. So a lot of people have been affected by income. A lot of people have been affected by their business, by their money. So now how do I protect this? Also figuring out boundaries, also better planning in difficult organizations. So yes, this pandemic was horrible, but it's waking and shaking some things up in many of us to relook at things. And this is why we're going back retrograde, changing the mind. So changing your mind on something. So maybe a lot of things, and I said this in the Pluto retrograde video, that may have been somewhat of important to you, they're no longer important to you. You're looking at things a lot differently. Your focus will be different. It needs to be. So if you leave this pandemic, this pandemic, this COVID-19 crisis, and you come out on the other side and you go back to the way you used to do things, you didn't learn anything. But if you come out of this COVID-19 and then we go into these retrogrades and you start changing things up in your life, you're learning something new. Does that make sense? Okay. So then you have body changes. Some of you may be changing the way you eat, the way you may be changing your some things about your look, your body. And this, you may be trying to do a little bit more healthier things. You may be walking more. You may be doing more exercising to try to stay as healthy as possible, even though this COVID-19 did challenge some things with even the healthiest persons. But some of you may be trying to change some things about your that may have kept you down. So if you are over 15, 20 pounds overweight. I know I'm 15, 20 pounds overweight. I've been trying to lose 25 pounds for the last year or so. And so, for me, it's about putting this into action, really doing something about it, because, when you're not well physically, your body starts to break down. And then when you take on these infections, beloved, it tends to attack you in a way that you can't fight it off, right? Okay, 5 of Ariel. You have the 5 of Ariel. During this retrograde, it says you needn't go through your current challenge alone. Especially Saturn deals with challenges. It deals with career. And now that people will be trying to get back into the workforce May through the months of May through September, people will be trying to get back into the workforce. It says you need not to go through this alone. Help is nearby. Negative thoughts create self-fulfilling prophecies. So some of you may start to doubt. Do not doubt. This is a time for you to go back and redo, restructure, rebuild, redo things differently. You may say, why did I have to? Well, you don't want that one source of income, point blank period. You need to have rivers of money coming in. So now it's a time for you, for those that are under the sound of my voice. If you're under the sound of my voice, this is a time for you to think about other sources of income other than just one. That way you have income flowing in like rivers of water, just pouring in, so that you're not on the bottom, that you're on the top floating. Do you understand that? Okay. You have the Knight of Michael, strong, committed, and intellectual, delegate, time to move quickly, choose logic over emotion, sudden changes. Of course. So this thing has brought on sudden changes. We ain't got time to sit here and be emotional. I was emotional for the first few weeks of this COVID-19 pandemic. I was emotional. Even had a meltdown or two. And some of you probably had a meltdown or two during this COVID-19. But now it's time to get back into work mode. Didn't even feel good one day. I didn't feel good. I didn't have a fever or anything, but I have allergies. So, you start thinking, okay, did I get the Rona? I sat up here and I coughed. My throat's a little itchy and my eyes a little itchy. Well, they itchy anyway because I have allergies. And but you start thinking things, and this thing starts to mess with you in some kind of way. So you start to. It's a time now to be more logical and figure out what is my next step. I need to figure out what I'm going to do going forward. I got to change some things. So Saturn going, especially in my career, especially in my career. And as I said in the Pluto retrograde video, I was going to share my own testimonial, and I'm going to open up the floor for those to write into me to share their testimonial on the channel. And then I will read. I will be discreet. I will be very discreet, but you can share your testimonial, and I will definitely be reading them, and we will talk about them, okay, to help us as a community, okay? So then you have the sun. The sun is here. Life is wonderful. Thrive through the power of positive thinking and inspiring success. So this is a time when you have God's support. You have the benevolent support to help you to get back out there and turn this thing around. For those that have lost money, those that have lost their job, if you weren't prepared for this crisis, because there's going to be more crises to come, and we need to prepare for these crises. We don't need to be in the situation where, okay, we're not prepared, we're unprepared, okay? Not saying that you're going to have everything to the T, but at least you're able to what? Survive, and not panicking, but survive until it blows over, right? It's almost like the tornado, those back in the day, and I don't know what part of the world and what parts of the states that they had these underground, what do you call it? These underground things that you open up during a storm, and they would go down in the cellar or the basement or whatever that thing was called. They open it up. It was a tornado, and they go down in there, and they had food in there. They had water. They had what they needed, and they stayed in there until that storm was over. They might have came out, and it tore up a lot of things, but they were prepared. You understand what I'm saying? They were prepared, and they were able to come out and come back and rebuild and start over. All right. The wheel talks about changes. So things have changed. Things will be changing. Things are changing. It says new beginnings, end of delays, a change in a direction that offers happiness. So there's coming out of the pandemic, moving away from the pandemic, going into this retrograde, of course, the Saturn retrograde, the Pluto retrograde, the Jupiter retrograde, the Venus retrograde. It's making you redo some things. And with the Saturn retrograde, where things are out of alignment, that are out of suit, your plans failed, structures and things like that came out of sort. Some of you have lost jobs. Some of you were faced against hard challenges, okay? How do you prepare for this going forward? How do you change this going forward? This definitely was an awakening for many of you. This was an awakening for many of you. It says joy through spiritual growth, be a light to others, answers that come through meditation. A lot of you, I definitely feel like this was just like an awakening for many of you during this crisis, during this time. Okay, so let's pull the cards and see what's coming out for you. This is for the Saturn retrograde, beginning May 11th, 2020. For the signs, I have an extra card. One more shuffle. Let's go. Okay. So we have the Two of Pentacles as the recent past. So this is where you're trying to get balance through something that may have gotten out of balance, right? So a lot of us is just trying to get balance back, things back in order, things back in alignment, where Saturn retrograde talks about things may be out of order, things may be out of alignment. And maybe since the Capricorn season, which Capricorn rules the 10th house as well. So maybe since the end of December, January, when this thing started to manifest, and, it really took off in birth during the end of Capricorn to the Aquarius season. So now it's time it would be a time in this retrograde to find a sense of balance when it comes down to your family. Those that mean a lot to you, even relationships, how you feel about people. This is the extra card that came out. So how you feel about people, building relationships, better relationships, restoring relationships, that's going to be a thing of importance, okay? What's crowning your reading is the Nine of Pentacles. So this talks about getting money, lots of it. Okay, getting money, finding stability, bringing a sense of happiness back, finding a job that pays well, that does the job. So bringing in, some of you may even get two jobs, when you're able to, but I see where you're trying to restore your income. I see where you're trying to, and some of you will go into a profession that you love, going into this retrograde until you come out of this retrograde. I feel like some of you will go into a job that you love. Some of you that are in business, you're going to start doing things that you love. Some of you that are not in business, you may open up a business. And I think I said this in the Pluto retrograde, and I might have said it in the Venus retrograde. So some of you, I do feel like it's like, okay, I gotta be on top. I got to be the emperor over my life. I truly have to be the emperor over my life. The emperor is someone of power, of authority. I cannot allow people to dictate my life. I have to be the one in control of my life, right? And then you have the Ace of Cups, beautiful. Beautiful. The Ace of Cups talks about offers. It talks about, so I do see for those that have lost jobs, those that do not have work, though, I see where you will have offers. Okay, so you will have offers, but this is the time for you to get prepared for it. And then you have the Six of Fire, which talks about victory. So during this time where those have lost jobs, I do see where you're going to be doing things a lot differently. You're going to be doing things differently. The way you may have done things at one point, you're not doing it that way anymore. I see where you will be making money. You are the boss to your destiny. So this Saturn going retrograde, where we're trying to move out of a pandemic. We're trying to move away from this COVID-19. We're trying to find a sense of stability. I feel like in this situation that in this, you're trying to find a sense of victory. You're trying to find out how to make money. How can I make enough money so that we get into another crisis? I'm the one that can say we're going into that cellar and we're going to be okay until this thing blows over, right? We're going to be okay. We will be okay. So it's about planning now and making sure that you're okay to prepare yourself in any other crisis, right? That you're okay. And not just you, but those that you love, those that you love, those that are near and dear to you. Also, it's bringing relationships back together. Maybe where people were divided when it came down to money. Now it's like, okay, we need to stick together. We need to stick together through this situation. We need to stick together. So there you have it. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I appreciate the love, support. Please share this video. I'm also going to say to journal this reading as well. I mentioned journaling in the video of the Venus retrograde, the Pluto retrograde. So definitely in the COVID-19, I don't think I did it. But definitely I would say journal these. We do journaling with JE, and I'll talk more about that in videos to come. But start to journal. I also talked about it if you have dreams, because in this time many people may have had dreams, and if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it. So definitely in your journal, start to write these things down. It's important to be able to reflect so that when we go into these retrogrades, we can reflect, because that's what retrogrades are. Retrospective, reflection. Also, it's go back and regain what one may have lost. I mean, we can go deep into it, but you get the gist. You get the logistics of it. So there you have it. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please give the video a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, check out the description box. Until next time, next video, be well.